It was their first major press briefing since the handover of Hong Kong in 1997. In the past couple of hours, the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office has spoken out on the violence in the territory. A spokeswoman said Beijing gave their support to Hong Kong's leader Carrie Lam following another weekend of protests. And it supported the police to protect the rule of law and called on people to oppose violence.
The central government firmly supports Chief Executive Carrie Lam in leading SAR government in law-based governance, firmly supports the Hong Kong police in strict law enforcement, firmly supports relevant departments of the SAR government and judicial agencies in bringing to justice the criminals, firmly supports people who love the country and love Hong Kong in defending rule of law in Hong Kong.
We were watching that statement very closely. Very rare to hear from them. Let's take you to Celia Hatton, who was at that press conference in Beijing. Celia, first, how unusual was it to have a statement like this, and what did you make of the language?
Well, as you said, it's the first time since 1997 that this particular wing of the Chinese central government has spoken directly to the press. So they're obviously trying to get in front of this problem and trying to deal and hand out really their viewpoint on what's going on in Hong Kong, although they also were very, very careful throughout the press conference to continually reaffirm their support for the Hong Kong authorities, Carrie Lam's continued governance, and also their support specifically for the Hong Kong police. Both of the spokespeople who spoke at the press conference referred several times to the brave, courageous police and had their sympathies for their families and what they're all going through. Controversial statements, of course, because many people in Hong Kong believe that the police have gone too far in using violence to stop these protests.
Any suggestion from them, Celia, that the military could intervene, the Chinese military?
That was the one question that was asked at the that was quickly batted away, and really the spokespeople want to deal with that issue. Yes, they did something that the Chinese Ministry of Defense did last week, which was to just simply quickly inform reporters that they needed to go and look at the relevant law on the books, the relevant law that's outlined in Hong Kong. Now, they're referring to Article 14 of the Hong Kong Basic Law, which says that, yes, the Chinese military can intervene in Hong Kong in instances of natural disaster and social unrest. It's quite a vague law, and that's all the spokespeople today would say, but they clearly did not want to discuss that. They were much more eager to talk about how Hong Kong could prosper economically if it was only stable, if the small number of radical protesters were put under control. That was something they had a lot of time to deal with, but they didn't want to talk about military intervention.
So, Celia, in that sense, were there quite a few sort of carrots, as it were, being offered to the people of Hong Kong, as well as a few sticks?
That's right. I mean, there was an interesting mixture of language at this press conference, because on the one hand, you could see that they wanted to talk about, you know, the prospect of greater economic development. They tried to sound quite understanding at times, saying that they understood problems of Hong Kong youth in dealing with affordable housing, in getting employment. Wanted to do more to help those people who were unhappy in Hong Kong, that they recognized these were problems. But then they were also very, very quick to blame the so-called radical protesters and how they were being propped up by Western governments. They said that there were certain individuals who had been very unhelpful, and that really some individuals trying to boost unhappiness in Hong Kong in order to curb China's development overall.
Celia, good to see you. Thanks for joining us from China. And